out against Superman, it's easy to control. And they'll be out of it alone.
Game over, man. Game over.
Please, we can kill it.
Wolfman's got nards.
Nobody trusts anybody now.
Come on, you. Hey, you want to live forever?
Now what?
But no matter what happens, Godzilla will win.
And welcome back to the 65th episode of the Monster Movie Stompdown. You got your host, Sludge, here. My co-host across from me
is Mark,
our brother from Texas.
Ruben.
And we've got a good, fun episode for you guys. The next Godzilla movie in the line. Of course, we're doing the awesome, I'm maybe the one that says that, awesome Shin Godzilla. We'll find out from Justin over here. I mean, Mark over here.
That is cold, man.
We've got that lined up for you. This episode's going to be a good one. We want to introduce you guys. This is a new format.
No, wait. You know, something's wrong there, Justin. It's okay. I'll take credit, Justin. If he's like comparing me and you together, it's okay. Justin's up and up. He's not. That's not a bad thing. So
Justin picks Godzilla 98 over this movie.
Well,
so.
you have Godzilla 98 memorabilia up in the nerd room.
No. I have whittled it down.
Oh, really?
I am tired of the bull crap. You know, I pick up some stuff that comes in boxes, and
the peer pressure got to him, man. I tell you what.
Now, when you say whittled it down, does that mean you're completely gone with it, or there's still?
No.
Let's
okay.
hold on.
Here it comes.
I cannot justify getting rid of one thing up in the collection. And this is why. I have one of those metal lunch boxes, you know, like the old school lunch boxes. They did one for the 98 film. I have one still complete with the, you know, the canister and the mug and everything.
That you used in high school, right?
No, I never used it. No,
I think I saw it in his office right here. It's still being in his office.
It has never been utilized. Actually, no, I take it back.
I thought he took it.
The cup has been utilized because I was cleaning up shelves today, reorganizing things up there, and I went to move it to a different shelf. Right? It's actually, I mean, for those who don't know, okay, I've got a lot of shelving in my nerd vault for figures. This particular item, because it's G98, is on like the very bottom low shelf. Like it's like there's other things way more important that's above it.
So for easy access, though,
right?
Mark.
That's what it is.
No, I got to bend down and pick it up.
Yeah.
But so this lunchbox there, okay. Now the cup in it has been used.
Why are you struggling to tell us this?
I'm trying to get it out to you.
Yeah, okay. You're struggling.
If you just shut up for a minute, let me finish the story here.
You should see it. If it was a video
the word is not struggling. The word is not struggling, Mark. It's justifying. It's justifying.
Thank you. That is exactly.
Yeah. Well, then let me justify this one item, okay? So, anyways, the cup in it is used. Apparently, at some point, I was like, this is heavier than crap. Why? It shouldn't be that heavy. Opened it up, and there was like a bunch of pennies and change in the cup. So I think at some point I may have been using that as just a change jar.
Oh, yeah.
Anyways, no.
Sitting on your dresser, proud of it.
Definitely not of it.
Yes.
I mean, if there's anything of that stuff it should be proud of or stuck out, on display, it's this. Why? Because of this. It was a wedding gift from my aunt when, not my current wife, but Jada's mom, when me and Bridget got married. She bought it for me, my Aunt Mikey. Bought it for me as a wedding gift. So that's the only thing in the collection that has to stay.
And Aunt Mikey knows you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And she knows your likes. That's why she bought it.
No.
Yeah.
That's exactly why she
Aunt
bought
Mikey is not aware of the Godzilla plethora, okay? She just saw Godzilla and she thought, okay, this is Chase. Thanks, Aunt Mikey.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Get more crap now. All right. So anyways, yes, I'm whittling it down. So yes, we've got a good episode for you for Shin Godzilla, but we do want to introduce you guys to a new format we have started with this episode. You're going to hear things a little bit differently than what we've been doing. I've been working hard on trying to push the show a little more professionally, but one thing definitely that we were going to be doing is promoting our friends. I've been talking to our friends Charlie and Dan at Give Back My Action Movies, Pete and his crew at Good Beer Bad Movie Night, Cameron and his crew at the Jacked Up Review Show. And the cool thing about the podcast that we do is there's a circle of friends now that's developed from all these shows, and it's real cool and real personal, and we all do different types of shows and stuff, and we're all from all across the country, but we love and support each other, and I think that's awesome. So I talk to everybody, and it's like, hey, does everybody got commercials? So we're going to start promoting. We're working on those. I got us a commercial made. Pete from Good Beer Bad Movie Night has a commercial for his show. So we're going to start pushing and promoting these shows for you guys to make sure you all are aware of these other podcasts and are listening to these other podcasts, because they're definitely worth your time. We promise. So we're going to start seeing that every episode, and a couple cool little other things we're going to start dropping in for you. But we've got a new format, kind of the same as far as the flow, but we've got some new things for you to check out. And speaking of that format, let's jump into it, man. Pete Quint and his crew over at Good Beer Bad Movie Night give you an amazing show every time they put one out. Now, for us, we review monster movies. For those who's never listened to Pete's show, Good Beer Bad Movie Night, what they do is they review horrible movies that are just despicably bad. Fun, but bad. Not grade A cinema, I guess you could say.
Oh, definitely.
Most of it's not even grade B cinema.
What we do with Pete?
Ship of Monsters.
Oh, the Ship
Mark's
of Monsters.
favorite episode.
Oh, Pete just changed my life with that one.
That's a taste of what their show is like. So what they do is, of course, now those cats, they're all beer connoisseurs, kind of like wine connoisseurs. They do a lot of different types and the way that they're made, and they actually go through and they give theirs a rating of 6-packs as far as how many 6-packs it takes to make it through the movie of the movie that they review, and they do it on different beers, and then they will actually go into detail on how the beers are made and the way that they taste and the head on them and all kinds of stuff. It's really
more interesting than the movie they were just
way
watching.
More interesting in the movie than they would have just reviewed. So
exactly.
But it's great. It's hilarious. I especially love listening to it because Kathleen gets mad sometimes with some of the movies that Pete forces her to watch, and it makes for good comedy for me. I quite enjoy it. So yeah, definitely here. Give it a listen. Make sure you check them out. Good Beer Bad Movie Night.
Just how drunk are we gonna get?
Welcome to Good Beer Bad Movie Night, where each month we drink finely crafted brews while watching terrible films in order to see just how drunk you have to get to enjoy them. So tune in and join Troy.
Kill more Krites.
Oh, that was pretty good.
Thank you.
Dave.
I have the weirdest
and Pete.
IPAs are ales, meaning they are bottom fermented. Excuse me, they are top fermented. I that up. Let me try that again.
As we drag Kathleen,
Hear me.
kicking and screaming through an alcohol-fueled podcast dedicated to movies of questionable quality and the frosty adult beverages that help make them tolerable. Good Beer Bad Movie Night. Clearly, it's the beer's fault.
All right, so again, check out Good Beer Bad Movie Night, and then you were followed up right by the trailer for the movie we are fixing to jump into, Shin Godzilla, which came out in 2016. And a little bit of background information on this. This actually was not supposed to come out, but it did. Because 2014, the one we just did, Godzilla from 2014 with Legendary, their contract with Toho had stated they could not make another live-action Godzilla movie until the MonsterVerse films completed, until the contract ended in 2020. Obviously, they put out Shin Godzilla in 2016 and kind of broke contract there. Wasn't a big deal, honestly. Jonathan Toll didn't really seem to care. But that's why after this, we ended up getting the anime trilogy and haven't seen another live-action Godzilla film since because of the contract there. But this movie came out again, actually for the first time in a long time, because most of the time we know we were getting Godzilla movies in Japan in December. This was a summer release. This was in July of 2016, and this was done by the amazing writers Hideaki Anno, I'm not sure how to pronounce his last name, and Shinji Higuchi. Now, Anno, of course, is known, and they're both known for their work with Evangelion. It's an animated series of films that is absolutely phenomenal. If you haven't ever seen Evangelion, I highly recommend those. But they wanted to tackle, and they both always wanted to do a Godzilla movie itself. Now, with Shinji Higuchi, one of the perks for him and Anna working together is that Higuchi has already had a massive role in Japanese special effects films outside of Evangelion. That being Gamera Guarding the Universe, he was part of the special effects department there. He worked on the Attack on Titans films were because of him. He did special effects and directing on those films as well. So you have a stellar crew when it comes to as far as the writing and directing of a film already. Wanted to tackle Godzilla. So they decided to do it. And they go pretty deep in this one. I mean, they wanted to take Godzilla back to his roots of the original film as far as a nuclear message and the things that the Japan had faced at the time, and as well as his design. Because with his design, especially in the fan base, seems to be a major hit or miss. People either love it or they absolutely hate it. He does evolve 4 times in the film. He doesn't start out with the normal form we're used to seeing, but he evolves throughout the movie into the familiar Godzilla, stature and design. But it's very much closer to the original design, not so much as the movie itself, the original Godzilla movie itself, but more the original drawings and vision of Tomoyuki Tanaka. He worked hard. He got the original design drawing. I mean, like the paper drawings that Tanaka and them did back then to try and create what Tanaka and the crew in 54 really tried to envision. And that's what they wanted to put on screen. And I think it was I'm pretty sure, I can't remember if it was Tanaka's wife or Honda's wife. One of them did come out and state, this is what they envisioned. As far as what we saw on screen in Shin Godzilla is what they were trying to capture in 54. So I thought that was really, really awesome. They did that. But the movie was kind of, as far as the plot of the film, it starts immediately. I mean, as soon as the movie starts immediately. The Coast Guard is coming out into Tokyo Bay, and they come upon an abandoned boat, almost like a yacht boat, called the Glory Maru, who's owned by Goro Maki, which, by the way, anybody know the little Easter egg there? Either one of you two?
Nope.
What?
Goro Maki.
I'm telling you.
Yeah, he's one of the Goro Maki was one of the original cast members, right, in Godzilla 54? Or
no. See, I told you all before the show, I'm gonna prove the true Godzilla fan here.
Yeah.
Okay, what?
All right.
Goro Maki is the reporter from The Return of Godzilla in 1984.
Oh.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So so the doctor, the scientist that owns this boat, who's missing, he's not on there on the boat at all, actually, is Goro Maki, and he plays a pivotal role through the film, even though he's not actually in the movie. And as soon as they board the ship, there's a massive explosion in Tokyo Bay, and you see it erupt on the top, and all this steam and red water, which we find out it's blood. While it happens on top, there's damage below because the aqueduct line where you can drive through like an underwater tunnel of cars starts to crack open, and now it's pouring water, and there's people underneath there, and it's red blood.
I was going to say, some red blood.
So that, and immediately as this happens, then you've got the prime minister and all the government cabinets are coming together in meetings. Like, we got to figure what's going on. What happened? Is it an underwater volcano? Is it, some kind of a new spout? And one character is very adamant on it could be a living creature. And Yaguchi is his name, Rando Yaguchi, who's played by Hiroki Hasegawa. And the rest of everybody else is like, no, it's not, that,
Yeah.
it's talking about it's got to be an earthquake or,
it's more of a session on what can it, what excuse can we make? What can it be that we won't alarm anybody?
Yeah.
So they didn't like the idea of a creature at all.
No. And it's, and
even though crimson red blood, that wasn't a signal.
Yeah.
That was a
complete
big red
giveaway.
flag.
Yeah. But as they're trying to figure out what to do and how to address the public in this situation, someone captures on video Godzilla's tail coming out of the water. They're like, oh crap, well, it is a living creature. And they're like, okay, well, let's find out what we can about it. Let's call in some biologists. And it's a lot of bureaucratic stuff going on. And they finally make an announcement.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, well, it can't come on land, so we're good there. As soon as they announce it, it comes on land. Godzilla comes on land and just starts causing massive destruction. And by the time he comes through, because literally he shows up and starts attacking the city right at the very beginning in his first couple evolution forms. And then at one point they're trying to figure out what to do, trying to get people evacuated. They're really cutting through red tape on what they can do or can't do to deal with the situation. Godzilla at one point kind of stops, turns, and goes right back to the ocean. They have no idea why. They're trying to figure it out. Then they finally end up coming to the conclusion that he feeds or has like nuclear fission going on in his body, so he needed to cool off. That's why he went back to the ocean.
That too is questioned.
Hugely questioned.
Somebody says the nuclear fission, oh, that's a joke, you're crazy, and then it ends up being right.
Yeah. I'm actually one of the female scientists is like, she says it's what it is, and they're like, there's no way. Then they end up having to apologize to her, like, oh no, you were right, and so they're trying to. And
it should be noted that she was like an amateur.
Yeah,
they called in all these scientists, and they were professionals, and none of them could nail it down, or they didn't want to. They didn't want to come across as ignorant or proven wrong. Right. So they bring her in. Yeah, and she's just a college, from what I understand in the movie. She's just
like an underwriter,
Well, they
even get to the point that they bring a couple experts, and the couple experts have no idea. So Higuchi and a couple of them are like, well, just bring in anybody. Anybody's better than nobody. We need to find some answers, and they do. They bring her in, and her character's name's Hiromi Ogashira, and she's who ends up really kind of just giving all the answers there and figuring all this stuff out. So they're trying to figure out what to do and handle the situation. And while they're doing this, they get Higuchi and his crew from the minister's cabinet, a team together to kind of figure out what Godzilla is, where he came from, how do we handle the situation. They actually get some help from the U.S. because of a U.S. and Japan treaty, as far as U.S. help and support them, and that comes in the character of Kyoko Patterson, who is an American senator's daughter, but she's Japanese as well. It's really big on trying to stop this from happening and save Japan because of her grandmother. She steps in and she provides the first little bit of information we have from Goro Maki, who predicted Godzilla's appearance and had been studying the possibility of this creature. And through this, we find out that there's actual nuclear radiation that's been dropped in Tokyo Bay that this thing has been feeding on and is now evolving, over and over again. And then of course Godzilla shows up again and is just an unstoppable beast. He's huge. He's in this, the final form of the film itself, and goes on land, makes his way towards Tokyo. And again, the Prime Minister's office are freaking out. We got to get people evacuated. How can we do it? What do we need to do? Let's dive through red tape. We need to get the army to attack them, but we can't attack them because the policies and set for the defense force. Well, we got to do it. How can we do it? How can we get around and get this to pass so we can retaliate with some weaponry? So after lots of argument and back and forth, you spend a lot of time with the bureaucrats at the table in this film. They finally were able to allow the self-defense force to try and stop Godzilla, and they give him all they got. And does absolutely nothing. He doesn't even face him. He doesn't even roar back. They're pelting him in the face with cannons and tanks and missiles, and it's just like it does absolutely nothing to him. This is definitely the most impenetrable version of Godzilla we've seen on screen to date.
Definitely.
They give that all, and there's nothing left. So they end up deciding, and he crosses over into Tokyo. Well, what do? They finally decide, let's call the U.S. The U.S. brings in some bombers to try and bomb him as they're evacuating Tokyo, getting all these people out, and bombers don't work. They end up causing a little bit of damage for once on him, but doesn't really do much. And at that point, that's the first time in the film you see Godzilla use his atomic breath in some new ways. That's extremely interesting because not only is it, coming out of his mouth, eventually through the film, it comes out his back, it comes out the tip of his tail. But so he just onslaughts these bombers, takes them out like nothing. And then in probably one swift move of maybe 45 seconds, takes out most of Tokyo. Not even moving, just with the power of his atomic breath, the way that it works. And then he apparently expends his energy and then freezes to a standstill. He's frozen. And so they're trying to figure out what's going on. They realize, okay, it's the nuclear fission. He's cooling off. He's pretty much recharging. What are we going to do? We've got to stop this. Well, the U.S. has decided at this point the only way to stop Godzilla, and well, not just the U.S., the United Council with China and Russia and the other world countries are all in agreement. We got to kill it. We got to exterminate Godzilla, and the only way to do that is with a thermonuclear bomb. Japan kind of gives in, says, okay, we don't really have any other choice. All the other countries are agreeing to help us financially rebuild Tokyo, but we're going to have to drop a nuke on Tokyo. Higuchi and his team, who have been, of course, the main characters of this movie, are like, no, we're so close to figuring out a way to stop Godzilla. We've got to do it. We can't let this happen. And Patterson, she's like, no, I'm not. The U.S. tells her to evacuate. She refuses. She's not going to see her grandmother's country go through another nuclear catastrophe again. And so they bust butt with their team to figure out what's going on with Godzilla. And because of the information that they're able to provide from Goro Maki, they find out a way that they can actually freeze Godzilla with a coagulant. And so they need 24 hours more than what they have as far as the bomb. They end up using back channels to get France to step up and say, hey, okay, let's maybe not do this yet. So they get the 24 hours that they need, concoct a plan to be able to attack Godzilla and inject him with this coagulant to freeze him. And they do it successfully in the last climatic scene of the movie. Not to major losses, as Godzilla definitely fights back, but they are able to finally freeze him and successfully stop Godzilla. So now Godzilla is this big frozen, almost metal statue in the middle of Tokyo. And as the movie ends and they realize, look, we were able to do this as a country and come together, and finally, after we get through the red tape and bullcrap and stop Godzilla, stop this catastrophe from getting worse. And then as the last scene of the movie, you see the camera goes up Godzilla's tail, and you see coming out Godzilla's tail these humanoid type Godzilla figures, and then it ends. Movie did really, really, really good. It only had a $15 million budget when it came out, and it ended up grossing $78 million at the box office, which was a huge success. This is probably one of the most successful Godzilla films to date as far as theatrical release in Japan. It went on to not only just do massive numbers at the box office, it won 11 Japanese Academy Awards.
It only won 7.
Nominated for 11.
Yeah.
Won 7. That's right. Yeah.
That's right.
Wait. Oh, let's see. Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Just because I see a whole bunch of ones here, but it's different awards from different awards.
Oh, yeah. It's won tons of them. But I mean, of course, Academy Awards are the top dog ones. So, I mean, I don't know of any other film in Japan that's won 7 Academy Awards.
It won 7
in a single
picture of the year.
Yeah,
one picture of the year,
best director, special. I think they got a special effects Academy Award as well. Just did stellar. Actually, did 23% more at the box office than 2014's Godzilla did at the Japanese box office. So I mean, it was huge in Japan. They just love this movie up. It did so well that thankfully to Funimation, I think it's who it was, right?
Yeah,
they were able to bring it overseas, and we actually got it theatrically here in Japan or in America, and we went. Yeah, me, Mark, and Jada. We went premiere night in our area where there's a theater that was playing it, and man, it was awesome. I mean, to see an authentic Japanese Godzilla film in theater was amazing. Like you had Godzilla 2000 come out, and I went and saw it. And it was still great, but it was English dubbed and edited. I mean, not this. This was straight up the way it was released in Japan, subtitled on the big screen. Yeah. Absolutely epic to see. But this movie has caused it's a love or hate with this film when it comes to the Western fan base. I mean, when it comes to the actual Japanese fan base, it's pretty much, I mean, best next to the original. I mean, they absolutely love this movie. Over here on our side of the country,
but the Western fan base though is very fickle.
They are extremely fickle. Love everybody in the fan base, but man, we are the most fickle fan base ever.
As you will see tonight, as you see ours.
Yeah. Yeah. That's right. We ran the gamut. We ran the gamut here. Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely did it when it comes to the ratings, which we'll get to you guys a little bit later. So, but this movie was extremely successful. I mean, did it so well coming here that it actually even opened the doors for Funimation to run more films theatrically in limited releases, including the next two, or the two Dragon Ball Super films that came out. So I mean, it did a lot for it.
Yeah.
I'll jump into this one first.
Yeah, we want you to.
Yeah, because this movie, of course, when we did the top Godzilla films a while back, this was in my top 5. To me, this movie, man, I have one fault for the film. And the only fault, I'll go ahead and get out of the way because I want to talk about how amazing this movie is, was there's several lines in the movie that several of the characters, like Patterson, even Higuchi, and a couple other ones, they actually will do their dialogue in English. Yeah. While, I mean, they do it fine, but to me, it seemed like a struggle. You know what I mean?
Yeah, let's say forced.
Yeah, it seemed very forced when they did those lines. And I'd rather them just stuck with the original Japanese dialogue instead of trying to do a bilingual in the film. That's my only complaint. That is my only complaint in this movie. Everything else, I thought it was absolutely phenomenal through and through. I mean, there was no build up. You start off, boom, Godzilla's there, and you're riding it through the rest of the film. To me, what I liked the most about this movie, the special effects were absolutely stellar. It's like, finally, you got a crew over there in Japan that knows how to do computer special effects, and they knocked it out of the park. Godzilla looked amazing in every scene. I know Mark said something about the fish eyes. We were talking about it earlier for the earlier evolutions.
Yes.
They did look kind of goofy, but to me, when I saw it, I mean, it's, again, he's aquatic at the beginning versus a land animal, or an animal that can be on land. So to me, it looked more like fish eyes. So to me, it made sense. Again, compared to how small his eyes were later. But the special effects were absolutely amazing. Godzilla in every iteration in this looked super detailed. I mean, I was impressed. I was like, we finally have a Japanese special effects movie with computer effects that are as good or rival Hollywood special effects for computers. Now, there was practical effects done. I mean, there was a suit done. I mean, and it ended up being taken out in the final product, and which is, I mean, as good as it was, I'm not complaining. But it would have been cool to see some of the practical effects at some point.
Yeah. I think it should have been thrown in there, even if it's an homage type of deal.
Yeah, in some way. I mean, for those who have the Blu-ray, I mean, you can see it in some of the behind-the-scenes special features that they've got for it. But I mean, on top of that, the special effects were great. On top of that, Godzilla looked amazing. To me, he was just where the legendary Godzilla, who's now out at the time, is this powerhouse of a force. Okay. This Godzilla is just an unstoppable machine. I mean, they did
this Godzilla doesn't need a nap.
No,
let's just be clear on that. Yeah, he doesn't need a nap on this one. Like 14 did.
Yeah, no, doesn't need no nap. He just, I mean, nothing can stop him. I mean, he's just so insanely powerful. And what I loved about it is you always, I mean, we know Godzilla's atomic ray is a big part of him. Big part of him. Well, you wait. It's over an hour. It's like an hour and 10 minutes into the film before you finally see it happen. And the payoff was unreal. You know what I mean? So his eyes cover over with almost like a shark, like a protective covering, and they turn silver. His back glows purple. And the reason purple, because our people are like, oh, purple, why is purple actually is the color that's related to death in the Japanese culture. So because he glows red throughout the whole film. But then when his color turns to purple as he's about to do his radioactive breath, that's on purpose. The reason why it's not blue, the reason why it goes to purple, is because of how big and what that color annotates. It represents in the Japanese culture. It represents death, and that's what happens. And when that back goes purple, a lot of people are about to die. And you see him, and his mouth opens, and his bottom jaw actually splits like a snake's almost to become wide enough. And you're just just massive flames come out of his mouth and just engulfs everything. But then it seems to get more powerful, and then turns it almost into kind of like the ray we know, just this laser beam type ray. Then from that point, it just wipes out everything. He closes his mouth, and the rays start shooting out from every direction from his spines. He uses that from the edge of his tail. That was just different and unique. I thought that That was awesome. At first, it didn't make sense for me when I first saw it coming out the end of the tail. I was like, well, that's a little weird. But then when you see the tail at the end of the movie, because there's a massive mouth on it, you're like, okay, that makes sense, you know. But I mean, the destruction caused in 45 seconds of this film was more destruction caused by a single radioactive breath of Godzilla than we have ever seen. Probably in the culmination of all the films. I mean, it was just, it was like seeing the bomb drop on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. Like, it was just, I mean, I think that's what they meant to do. You know what I mean? Was just to show that level of devastation. I mean, it was great. On top of that, too, I mean, loving what I saw with that is the sound effects. They didn't just use or remake like original Godzilla roars from the old films and the sound effects of like the tanks and the explosions. They literally just pulled the sound effects from the original reels and used them. And that was awesome. I mean, when you see Godzilla, when he does his first evolution, where he grows his arms and his feet change and he's able to stand up and he rips that head up in the sky and roars, you hear that original 54 roar. And it's literally it. Like, it's not a, you know,
it'll give you chills. It does,
chills, man.
Yeah.
And it's just like that is from the original film. That was awesome. I mean, the sound effects from them shooting him, I mean, it's like I was listening to a Showa movie. And I absolutely loved that. That showed to me the love that these guys had for those original films and the original movie. And it was just absolutely epic. I mean, just so cool to hear all of that from beginning to end. And to me, the message behind it, I mean, because they were real big on, I mean, the original movie was, I mean, it was a message about the terror of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And we got, in 84, we got a little bit of that nuclear international message with the kind of the Cold War stuff that was going on. But we've not had that dire message that the original Godzilla movie was. Because, the original Godzilla movie was a monster movie. But more than anything else, when you watch it, I mean, it's a tragic horror story of Hiroshima and Nagasaki.
Exactly.
And to me, that's what made this one so good, was because it had that message again. And the reason being for that was because of the Fukushima nuclear meltdown that happened like prior to 2011. Then the earthquake and tsunami, because that happened in Japan in 2011. Because what went on with those things was you had a nuclear and major natural disasters, and the government was worthless with how to handle those situations, because they had to deal with so much red tape and bureaucracy. And that's why you see so much of that in this movie, is because, I mean, they spoke out heavily. I mean, they believe that, I mean, that they deal with a fossilized government over there. You know, I mean, it's so old school that it doesn't work. I mean, when you're dealing with a natural disaster, you need to be able to have an answer immediately on how to handle it. And they didn't when the tsunami hit. You know, they didn't when the meltdown happened in Fukushima. They went through hours and days and weeks of meetings to be able to handle these situations. And that was the message of this, is that this is a tragic problem. And because it's nuclear related, because it's natural disaster related, they felt that it was perfect for Godzilla because that's what he was. And so they wanted to kind of push that heart of a message like they did in 54 for something that was as equally serious for them at the time in the early 2000s. So to me, I mean, I loved it. I mean, I got everything I wanted out of a Godzilla film, minus another monster. We always want to see him find another monster. But for a solo Godzilla film, to me, the message, the heart, the special effects, the sound effects, this movie's amazing. I love this movie. And my only complaint was the occasional English dialogue. Go for it, you guys.
Take it, Ruben.
You sure?
Oh, yeah.
You don't want me to bookend your? Okay.
He probably has very little to say. He's going to be like Justin 2.0.
Well, but, you hit on a lot of the points that I was going to hit on, Sludge. So I will say, first of all, Sludge has a, how can I say, a negative view of Minya or Mila, whatever you want to say.
Yeah, I do.
I'm reading here that Goro Maki actually made that character as a reporter, made his debut
in Son of Godzilla. That's
Godzilla,
right.
Yeah,
that's right. Yes, he
okay.
is the.
What did he say? Didn't he say, "I'm going to show you a real Godzilla fan"?
Good
one, Ruben. Good one.
Yeah.
Good
Just
one.
like
So
I told,
was like, man,
I was talking to Jada the other day. We were talking about something. I put a post on Facebook of I can't remember. We were having a Godzilla discussion, and I was talking about the amount of Godzilla movies that had something in it or whatever, and I forgot in my counting 2 Godzilla movies in our conversation. And that was Son of Godzilla. Boy. And Godzilla's Revenge, and that led into the conversation like, well, when Minia's involved, I just kind of sort of forget, it gets blocked.
Yeah.
But yes, that
he
is
has
true.
He has a negative reaction,
and
in fact, I know our listeners can't see, but we do Zoom, so I wore a shirt that has Minia on it just for Sludge, just for him.
Gosh,
in
and
fact,
Sludge
I might have taken it out of the hamper. Just to wear it.
Sludge said he was getting ready to comment on what a great looking shirt that is until Ruben pulled the shirt up and there was
Meanie was right there, and I was like, oh no, never.
That was great.
Because all he saw was the top of Godzilla's head, and then you lift up, and there's Minia riding on his tail.
I'm telling you,
and that was the end of that.
He's just that's just one of those characters, man. That just like I'm very pro Godzilla's son in the Heisei series, big time.
Yeah,
I mean, he's awesome. Yeah. That's how it should be. But that little fat, rounded silver thing from the '70s, dude. Ruben, good. So
okay. Well, then in that case, then obviously you don't have anything upstairs with Minya, right?
Actually, I don't think I know.
Yeah,
but there may be one little.
But you do the '98. Godzilla, you have. Up there.
Here we go again.
Here we go.
You see where I'm headed here, right?
Well,
so I mean, he loves Godzilla '98 more than he does.
Oh, yes, he does.
They're worth about the same. So I mean,
I
put as much weight in the Sony Godzilla as I do Minya.
Minya, man, come on, Minya's a little chubbier. At least Godzilla '98's got some muscle. So, but anyway, back to our podcast.
Yes.
Oh yes,
Goromaki. Yes, he did officially.
Goromaki. So they get that out of the way. I wanted to get that out of the way. But this movie was real hard for me to rate. When we get to it, you'll hear what I gave it. But this movie has a lot of dialogue and not too much Godzilla. Just like 54, just like Godzilla 2014, it's one of the main complaints. To me, the comparison is 2014 is an homage to the original 54, but it's also more Showa as far as story goes, because Godzilla in 2014 is a hero. And this one, Godzilla is anything but a hero. This is borderline a horror movie, if you ask me. It's a monster movie, and so that dialogue has its use. It's used to get you, I guess you get a sense of dread because they're just not doing anything. And they're just sitting there trying to figure out what to do. Meanwhile, Godzilla's tearing through the city and they're sitting in their office all fat, dumb, and happy, while people are dying. And that sense of dread is what makes the movie good. So, Godzilla's actually, like 54, a force of nature, created by, human misuse or human, how can I say, disrespect for nature. How's that?
Yeah.
For human disrespect of nature. And this is what this Godzilla is. And, I mean, I really didn't like his first incarnation. The googly eyes just didn't do it for me. I wish they would have changed it up to something a little bit more realistic. It just didn't do it. I'm like, man, I just don't see it. But, it was cool to see him evolve, because every time they thought they had something figured out, Godzilla throws something else at him. Like, oh, well, he barely moves. We can get him. Oh, darn.
Yeah.
He's standing up now. Darn. He can't get on land.
And he gets it. Like one of the guys in Higuchi's team even makes a comment of he's evolving himself to be immortal. I mean,
exactly. He makes that, and that's what happens. So what I thought was at first, like when I'm looking at the movie, I'm trying to, okay, what don't I like? And at first I'm like, I really don't like this. But then as the movie moves forward, I'm like, you know what? There was a purpose for that. So I'm like, okay, that gets a pass. That gets a pass, because the evolution is actually part of the, I'm using the word horror. That might be a strong word, but it's the dread, I guess. It makes you, as you're going through the movie, like you feel the dread and you feel that there's going to be destruction. and then you get the payoff. And that is the most, I'm going to just say it, that is the most powerful Godzilla. Maybe you could talk about King of the Monsters being just as and Godzilla and King of the Monsters being as powerful, but this Godzilla with his rays and his skin, I mean, the bombs just bounce off his skin. They bounce off his skin, where in every other Godzilla iteration or movie, you know, there's some kind of he either gets penetrated, he gets bloodied, you know, a lot of things happen. Not this one. This one, he's hit with those bombs, they explode, but they're really bouncing right off of him. And then his only reaction is, well, I'll just spill blood all over the street. And he does it on his own accord. It's not like they draw blood.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how I saw it anyway. And then when he finally shoots out his ray and he shoots it down into the ground, and you compared it to a nuclear explosion of the two A bombs that were dropped, that's exactly what it is, because he drops it down and it spreads like a nuclear explosion would. You just didn't have the mushroom cloud, but you had everything else.
Yeah.
I mean, he destroys the whole fleet of U.S. bombers, stealth bombers.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he just destroys them all with the ray. It just boom, boom, boom. And the bombs they were dropping along with it. You know, so this is the scariest Godzilla. One of the scariest, because I still think that Tokyo SOS Godzilla, the white-eyed Godzilla. No, not Tokyo SOS.
GMK.
GMK.
Yep.
GMK is the one that is the scariest looking, but this guy's, you know, could be argued to be one of the scariest Godzillas as far as his power and what he's capable of doing. Because you mentioned it, he does what another Godzilla does in a whole movie, he does in
45 seconds. Yeah. I mean,
yeah,
no
45 seconds, you know, yeah, no time at all. I mean, you know, and then that's it. Now, this Godzilla, and I take it back, because I said he doesn't take a nap like 2014. He actually does take a nap to regen right in the middle of the city.
Right.
Well, so he does. So I take that back.
When you're talking about the power of it, I mean, in the dread and the horror, there's the shots, and I'm showing, you know, Mark that shot here on my phone, where they made through, and Ruben, you know what I'm talking about here. I'll put it up there.
There you go.
It's flames. It is atomic fire all behind him, and he's just standing there, and that is just a shot. Standing there. There's no other shot like that in any Godzilla movie ever.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, that showed the power and destructive force and the dread, like you're saying, of what he is in this movie.
That dread. Yeah, and even when he goes dormant, he's still EMPing the heck out of anything that gets near him.
Yeah.
So he's still defending himself. He's still defending himself even in his dormant state. So to me, this is, you know, it's got to be the most powerful Godzilla. At least, let's just put it this way, to date of this release of this movie.
Yeah.
When we get to Godzilla King of the Monsters, maybe I'll reevaluate then. But right now, as to date, 2016, this is that's the most powerful Godzilla ever released. The sound. I love the soundtrack because it took you right back to me. It took me right back to my childhood. I mean, that soundtrack was just so cool. And then they had the military march, it had the Godzilla march, and then the end of the movie. I mean, it was just
not recreating it, just straight pulling it from the original ones.
Yeah, just straight. Yeah, they didn't recreate it. They didn't try to recreate it. They just pulled it straight out. Which, if you're a true Godzilla fan, all that brings back a flood of memories for me. You know, I'm like, man, this is just awesome. So that helped out too. Another thing, I thought the soundtrack was good, special effects were good. The design of Godzilla, like you were saying earlier, it's close to what the original concept drawings were. The nuclear scaling that Godzilla was supposed to have, the scarring.
The scarring, yeah.
This was the scarring, the nuclear being exposed to nuclear radiation, whatever. That was just cool. What I didn't like about it is the only thing I didn't like about it is I thought the dialogue was drawn out just a little bit too much. But like I said, some of it was needed. Some of it was needed to get that sense of dread and to actually show. I mean, that was real life. I mean, that's what happens in real governments is they sit there and argue because they don't want to take a blame for something. Yep. So while they're sitting there arguing, people are dying. And that happens in real life in governments.
Yeah.
They're sitting there. They have the luxury of being protected. They have the luxury of sitting hundreds of miles away while people are dying. And because they can't make up their mind because they don't want to look bad in front of, the media or whatever. And that's what this was. If you listen to a lot of those meetings, they brought in experts, but all of them were too timid to nail down anything. It took a novice science, college kid scientist to
someone who would
say,
essentially
no,
be middle
this is
class.
what it is. Yeah, somebody, yeah, exactly. Middle class that doesn't have anything to lose. She doesn't, I'm like, hey, I'm just going to tell you the truth. I don't have to worry about what people think about me. I'm not running for office.
Yeah.
I'm just going to give you the straight out truth.
She was
which
not a
was
bureaucrat
great because,
at all.
Yeah, exactly. No bureaucrat. She wasn't a bureaucrat. She just, put it all out there. And then they brought in, the U.S. scientists, all these people, all these scientists that had nothing to lose. And that's when things started getting done.
Mm-hmm.
And a couple of prime ministers get killed off. So then you have a novice in there who doesn't care either way. He's like, I'm just going to take the blame. And that's what it is. That's what it is. But it took 2 prime ministers to get to that, 2 PMs to get to that point. So while I didn't like that the dialogue, the long-winded dialogue, most of it was needed. I'm not gonna come down on it too bad. So that's why I didn't give it a very low score. Now some people don't like it because you get what? You have a minute count on Godzilla?
What was it, like 8?
Let's guess.
No, it was more than 8. Was it 8 minutes in this
I thought
film?
you said, something like 8.
I think it's like,
about 8 minutes. It's 8 or 9 minutes at the most.
Yeah.
Okay. And the rest is all dialogue, but it keeps you interested. You want to know what's going on and what plans they come up with. And it's so funny how it just took all those novices and all those experts that didn't have anything to lose to come up with a plan. And you know what? And the back channels from Pat Patterson, the back channels that she used and all that other stuff. She put her. I mean, she's on the plane, I assume, talking to her dad.
That's what I think it was. Yeah.
Right. And he says, if you do this, you're never going to be president by the time you're 30. And she says, well, it's worth it. And she goes on and does it,
Oh, no, I'm sorry. 16 minutes for all forms.
For all forms. Okay.
All forms.
16 minutes. Okay,
yeah.
Good. I knew it wasn't much. I knew it, compared to a 2-hour movie. So you have a 2-hour movie with 16 minutes of Godzilla. And I would say of the dialogue, I don't know, maybe they could cut it by 20% at the most, 25 maybe. Because most of it, you needed it because it gave you that sense of dread and that frustration level that you needed to realize just how dangerous Godzilla could become if they don't do anything. And of course, people evacuating. And I thought that was so funny. They were about to shoot at, all the helicopters were ready to shoot on Godzilla. And one little old man with a kid comes shooting around the track and they cancel the whole thing.
Yeah.
They just said, nope, we're not doing it. We're not doing it. There's a civilian down there running across the tracks with a little kid, and that was enough for the prime minister to say, nope, not going to do it. And what happens? Godzilla ends up, they don't do anything. The helicopters move away and Godzilla ends up tearing up more stuff, for another.
And killing how many more people?
Yeah.
Yeah. Killing, I don't know how many more people. So you're frustrated because of course you don't want anyone to die, but
Exactly.
that one hesitation costs how many lives, so that's part of the dread. So even though it's a negative for me, I feel that most of it was needed. I just can't think of anything else that I didn't like about the movie. I thought the acting was decent. Like I said, I thought the dialogue was very realistic. I think that is my opinion of government. They're not going to do anything unless they're really, really forced to. And even then, if they're going to do something, they're going to look for somebody to blame just in case. So they got to find a scapegoat before they make a decision. So he goes, well, maybe I can blame it on this guy if it doesn't work out. So I think it was a great outing. It was why they did it after 2014 and they had that contract. I don't know. I think it's to keep the Toho Godzilla relevant,
Yeah.
And, just as I wouldn't say a lot of people said they were unhappy with 2014, but that I haven't found anything online that actually said that they were really unhappy with it.
No, 2014 did great in Japan. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, no, they all liked it. It's just the fact that they did that, and they were wondering, well, why'd you do it? I think Toho just did it to make sure that they let the world know, hey, wait a minute, we're Toho, we are Godzilla.
Yeah.
And that's the only reason they did it. Maybe 2014 did, kind of threaten that form a little bit. That's just my opinion. And but no, other than that, man, I really can't complain too much about this movie. But that being said, I sympathize with all the negative reaction to this movie. I can see it going that way, and I could have easily gone that way if I didn't take a step back and actually think out as a Godzilla fan what they were trying to do. And once I figured that out, I'm like, you know what, I'm okay with some of the negative reaction. But I can see why it got some of the negative reaction that it got. That's all you got from me.
Well, let's hear from the man who's got the negative reaction.
I am the negative. Yeah. Well, first of all,
yeah.
and then I think a lot of
spoiler alert to Mark's feelings on this film.
Yeah, when you compare like the 2014 and Toho going against the contract and bringing out Shin Godzilla, I think they hurt themselves by doing it. Because when it comes to looking at Godzilla to Godzilla, not going into the movie, I think the 2014 Godzilla is so much better. It's more agile. It's overall better looking, meaner, fiercer, in my opinion, than the Shin Godzilla. With the Shin Godzilla, I think wasn't agile at all. That first that first form that came out and those bug eyes. I'm sorry, that's look at teddy bears at Walmart on aisle 4 or something. You see eyes like that. I mean, that's just the way I thought about it when I saw it. I think the special effects in the movie, I really, really liked it. I mean, I thought it was really cool. I think he could have tore up a whole lot more stuff with them rays coming out of his back than what he actually did, because that was a bunch coming out and it just destroyed everything. But I think if I'm going to a movie and I want to get away from what's going on in the world for a couple hours, and I just Good point. I don't want to go in and for the next 2 hours and listen to the political dialogue that I had to sit through for, what'd you say, 11, 13 minutes of Godzilla?
Yeah.
No other monsters.
And it's like 118-minute runtime.
Yeah. And so, I mean, that was one of the things that was kind of depressing to me. I can see you're acting just like a government. All this red tape, all the bureaucrats. I mean, all that stuff. I don't want to see it. I want to see a Godzilla.
You want to escape.
Oh, yeah. I want to see Godzilla come in here, kick some butts, and do his thing of what I've watched him do for year after year after year since 1954. Yeah. And so, I mean, those are the things I look at. That's why the movie was kind of depressing to me, and that's why I'm negative on it. The legendary Godzillas, you felt good.
Right.
And with this movie, you just didn't. And it's just like, is he dead? And the Shin Godzilla is Shin Godzilla. No, he's still standing frozen in the middle of Tokyo, and that's how the movie ended. And so I didn't get a sense of closure on what actually happened. He just, when you left, he's still standing there in the middle of Tokyo. Did they go dismantle him? I mean, or did they leave him there? What happened? And so I was, I finished having more questions about the movie than I started with.
That's valid. That's valid.
I can see that.
The soundtrack, loved it. Yeah, I'm with you on that. And the special effects, loved it. And even the acting, though it was quite boring to me and a lot of it, they did very good at it. I mean, they were believable. Yeah. But it's just the content of what they were doing that I felt like that I didn't want to see. I did, it bored me with it, and I didn't want it. And so, for those reasons, I gave the stomps that I did, even though Sludge is like, you're crazy, you don't know anything, and I will prove to you I'm the bigger Godzilla fan. And
Yeah.
so that's it. That's where I'm at. It's short and sweet, but
Yeah, and Sludge. Just to Mark did give 2014. That was his number one.
yes,
That's
so,
true.
yeah.
And I can see where
That
he
was
that one.
that
So,
was his number one.
Every
so.
time he started knocking on 2014, apparently, the skin started raising up on the back of my neck. And I
It's
thought,
like,
hey, I might have to jump over this table here in a
That's
minute.
number one. like I said, when I heard that, I'm like, well, I was one. Let's just put it this way: if I'd have watched Shin Godzilla, tired after a long day of work, I could have very well given it the same stomping as Mark. Okay, but I was fresh, I was rested, I was showered, I sat down, I watched it, and took it all in. You have to really take it in. It is an acquired taste. I think Sludge touched on it earlier when he said you either love it or hate it. This is an acquired taste movie, I think. I mean, you have to really, you have to really, how can I put it? You have to sit there and watch it. You can't, and if you don't pay attention to it, they're just talking. And then if you don't pay attention, then it will, it'll go right over your head. And then right, Sludge, it'll just go right over your head.
It will. I mean, look, you've got so many masterpieces throughout the years that you've got to sit and take it all in. Seven Samurai. I mean, that's 3 hours.
Yeah.
I mean, and you've got to really sit through. Of course, granted, there's a lot of action in that one for the time, but 3 hours you got to sit through. Or the Seventh Seal. Ingmar Bergman's film where the Crusaders talk and playing a game of chess with death. That one, 2 hours of you've got to sit through this. Masterpieces, you got to take it all in.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying.
And this is, and make no mistake, I think Toho is going more for an artful Godzilla movie than they were a straight out action packed Godzilla movie.
Yeah, well, I think that's
like
what you
Show
get
era.
with Anno and his crew for this type of thing. Because you go and you watch Evangelion, you're talking about the angels and stuff that are in it. I mean, you get, even with those, so much story and dialogue and very little action sequence. But what little action sequence you do get is absolutely stellar for an animated film. So I think it kind of goes with they're very much.
But I mean, but to Mark's point, you're like, okay, I want to go see a Godzilla movie. How many people say I want to go see a Godzilla movie for the politics and dialogue? Not too many.
I can see that point.
Not too many.
And then I think
that's why I just
a lot of it. They tried to me change his origin. Where he came from the sea, but for all the Godzilla movies that we have seen, here come a different. He comes out. And he don't have no arms. He got flipper.
Right.
And all this.
Yeah.
And
there's no. I mean, this is an origin story. 54 never existed in this timeline.
Yeah.
Right.
You're right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And so I mean, they changed a lot of that stuff, and just I don't know, just didn't hit me. I didn't pick up on it. I didn't really do anything for me, And then what I'm used to, the 2014 are all the legendary Godzillas. His arms, his hands, they're movable, they're working. Now in this movie, we're back to the T-Rex arms,
and he's a in the legendary, he's a thinking animal,
right? Exactly.
He strategizes. He's not just like this one. I don't get the sense that he was thinking about anything. He just was going to destroy whatever threatened.
He just kind of just moves.
Yeah.
Well, even a couple of the guys in the movie say, "Well, all he does is just move." Because he's just a one-track machine in this film.
Yeah. So where in 2014 and King of the Monsters and
more strategy, he's got to be
he's more strategic. He's you can see the intelligence in him.
Yeah.
And this one, I'm not going to say he doesn't have any intelligence, but he's just more of a hurricane or tornado.
Yeah, it's all instinct. All instinct.
Yeah, exactly. It's all instinct.
It's pure and only.
Yeah.
With him.
Yeah.
So. Well, okay.
And and another thing though, this goes to Mark, and then I'll let you talk. The tail with the humanoids on the end. What is that? Like you're saying,
man.
What is that all about?
Where did that come from?
Because there was apparently two more forms after. Would have been two more forms for him after this, as far as his evolution. I mean, because if they'd have done a sequel, could you imagine how I mean, going from dread to pure horror, the nighttime sequence of these, who knows how they 10-foot, 12-foot beings that comes out of this tail. I mean, they were terrifying looking, killing and hunting people.
And I could have sworn that when I saw it at the movies and I saw it again, I'm like, well, wait a minute, I guess I just imagined it. I could have sworn that at the end of the movie when they showed his tail, there was movement. But in this, I mean, I saw the Blu-ray, there was no movement. Right, I didn't see anything, but I could have swore at the movies that I was sitting there and I said, well, maybe I just imagined it back in the movies when we were watching it, because that's what I expected. That might have given Mark the closure he needed.
Yeah, exactly.
He's seen one of those humanoids just kind of, man, even just move a bit.
Yeah, there's still life there.
Yeah.
And,
exactly. But that was just like, okay, so what is that all about? And, there's that symbolism. I'm talking in the artistic, Toho going artistic. Okay, well, if it's a symbolism, then you're throwing it all up. Okay, so where did those come from? Did it evolve from him? Okay, he was created from just people dumping nuclear waste. But are they people he killed? Did he absorb them somehow? I mean, what? Yeah, exactly. I'd like to know what. He tore through a lot. He killed a lot of people just getting to the center of town. So what? Why? That's an unanswered question that Mark brought up that I'd really like the answer to. So
unfortunately, all right, man, that's it. Ever will. So, all right, there it is from us. So, after all the reviews and thoughts, let's see what the final outcome is. It's Stompdown rating time. And we gave this one all around 4 stomps out of 5. So still really good, even though Mark gave it pretty low. No, he didn't give it too low.
I gave it an average. I mean, I mean, I was more shocked on your perfect 5.
I had to give it a 5, man. I did give this one a 5.
Than anything, because we are in 2 different levels right here, buddy.
I mean, for me,
like I told you earlier, man, I'm telling you, I was like, if I would have watched this after work while I was tired and, maybe, and not rested, I might have gone with Mark on this one. That's a 3. But luckily, I was like, okay.
You were the middleman on this one.
You definitely
I was the middleman on this
Mark
one.
Gave it a 3. Ruben gave it a 4. I gave it a 5. So, I mean, overall 4. Still, I mean, you need to watch this movie.
Yeah, it's still. Yeah, I think so. I mean, if you're a Godzilla fan, first of all, you can't miss any of them. So,
right.
And except the anime. Get ready, people.
Ruben's so excited about that coming up.
And I think you just need to watch it and let us know. What do you think? Yeah. What do you think?
I'd like to know what our listeners have to say.
A 5, or we know what Justin thinks. He gives it like a 1, maybe. I mean, I don't know how you can justify that and put 98 above it, but it's okay. We still love Justin. I mean, but again, it varies to each their own. I mean, with the points that you made, as far as for me, it brought it back to the tragedy and the disaster of 54, but in today's situation, in modern tragic happenings with the tsunami and how that was handled. So to me, that was the big part of this. And then everything else was icing on the cake as far as the design. And, I mean? So I took it that way. With you, it's like, I need an escape. Godzilla's been my escape for decades. I don't want to go and have to face the same things I'm trying to escape. So that makes total sense. So you guys could be all the way across the board. I mean, overall, we gave this a 4, and we do. Let us know what you think after you watch it. What would you give it? 1 to 5 or 0 to 5 as far as stomps? Let us know. Comment on the page, because we'd like to know what you guys think, and maybe you guys saw this as a perspective that the 3 of us didn't see it.
Exactly,
which would be really cool.
To find interesting out. To see. Hear.
Yeah. All right. Well, man, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. Hopefully you guys enjoy the new format, as this is what we'll be running with, this style from now on, at least for the foreseeable future. But we've got some cool stuff coming up for you. Again, we've got another episode this month. We are finishing up the Universal Monster series with The Invisible Man. And while I love Claude Rains, we put this one last for a reason. Just to say so. And then we got some big, exciting stuff coming up next month in September. Ruben is so stoked. He messages me every day and tells me he's so excited the fact that we're doing the Godzilla anime trilogy. I mean, he
Yeah.
won't shut up about it.
Yeah. He's brought it up a couple times.
He has.
Tonight alone.
For Ruben's sake and how much he loves it, we were going to actually do a little bit differently to kind of keep things flowing as far as the show order. And again, because Ruben loves these movies so much, we're going to do all three as one solid trilogy for that episode, the first episode in September. So we'll be reviewing all three of those movies in one film or in one episode. To really honestly probably just get it out of the way for Ruben so he doesn't have to do this for more than one episode.
Does anybody know if there's like a Cliff Notes version of these movies somewhere? Because I really need that, man. Somebody put it in a 15-minute video for me because that's about how much I like them.
That's going to be a good one for September. And then September, we've been hitting around a little bit about it, but we've got an awesome special episode coming up in September. We're doing a team-up episode with our brothers Charlie and Dan from over at Give Me Back My Action Movies. If you guys have, obviously Charlie's been with us before doing Deep Rising. Those who have checked out their show know that I just made an appearance on Starship Troopers, but now we're doing a full team episode, Dan, Charlie, me, Mark, Ruben, for a very cool movie, which I won't say yet. But if you've seen the flyer, you might know.
Oh, yeah.
But we've got a very special team-up
It
episode
is out
coming.
there.
So Sludgecast is the Monster Movie Stompdown is going to team up with Give Me Back My Action Movies for a bang-up powerhouse of a film in September. So hopefully you guys will be excited for that one. And we'll be dropping more hints as we get closer to it. So we'll be back again this month with The Invisible Man. Next month, we've got Ruben's favorite Godzilla anime trilogy, followed up by a special team up with Give Me Back My Action Movies, and we're super stoked about it. So, you guys got anything else?
I'm good.
I'm good over here.
All right.
He's still got that look
He
on
does.
his face.
Yeah. He's so excited. If we could screenshot that, that's what we need, just to show everybody on Facebook.
Hey, look, I'd rather, let's do Ship of Monsters again.
Oh,
okay?
no.
Oh, man.
No.
No, I enjoyed Ship of Monsters. I would do that. I love that movie.
Yeah.
I had a great time with that one.
Yeah.
But, all right. Well, this is Sludge.
And Mark.
And Ruben.
Y'all have a good night.
Good night.
Come on, you hey! You want to live forever?
Now what?
But no matter what happens, Godzilla will win.
You're the one who introduced me to these.
I know, but that was it. Hey, kid.
That was it.
He was like,
maybe you were bothering me or something.
He goes,
Go watch this.
Here you go. Here you go. Watch this, son. I'll see you later. I'm done. You just here.
Exactly.
It was Mark's. It was Mark's equivalent to giving you the iPhone, and here,
living a lie because of Mark Reagan.
yeah,
Gosh.
yeah.
He was great as Peacemaker.
Well, I know that they're going to do a standalone with him. Yeah,
yeah,
that's what I hear.
Because I will stand alone, not watching it.
Yeah. Because Cena was kind of like just